Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Hard 100, a video series documenting the culling of my collection from what it is to what it is going to be, and that is a Hard 100 games. You have most likely heard of the little game called Pandemic. This is a game in which you are trying to race around the world to cure cubes and stuff. It's a good game. It's a good co-op, the quintessential co-op game. As of late, Pandemic has been making a whole lot of Pandemic games. They've been making Pandemic games about Rome. They've been making Pandemic games about Iberia. They've been making Pandemic games about Pandemic. Pandemic is a very good system. There are some flaws with it, obviously. Some people know how to play the game and game the game to death. And some people know that, oh, certain roles are more powerful than others, and it has a really big problem with quarterbacking. So the person saying, oh, this is what you should do, this is what you should do, etc., whatever. I don't care about any of that shit. Today, we are talking about an implementation of Pandemic that I've had my eye on for a while. I finally caught it on sale, and I wondered if it was going to be enough Pandemic to make me forget that it was a Pandemic game. Ladies and gentlemen, Pandemic, the Reign of Cthulhu. Pandemic, the Reign of Cthulhu, a game by Chuck Yeager based on Pandemic by Matt Lecoq and, Z-Man Games, is a co-op game in which you and a handful of players are trying to drive back the old ones long enough to close some gates and stop the reign of Cthulhu. So on your turn, if you've ever played Pandemic, I can teach you to play this game very quickly. This is that, done. You probably already know how to play. The only difference is the theme? That's not fair. On your turn, you are given a certain number of action points depending on the character. Most characters have 4 action points. Every character has a very sexy special ability, and you will do different things. Moving from one space to another is an action point. Removing a single cultist from the board is an action point. You can play a card from your hand sometimes to travel on the board. That's an action point. Moving between gates is an action point, and sealing a gate is an action point, or an action rather. You can also remove this big, beautiful, weird looking Shaggoth things from the board, and those are 3 action points, and you have to do that all at once. The goal of the game is to win, obviously, and the way you win is by closing 4 gates instead of curing 4 diseases. Now these gates are interesting, I will say, because if a Shaggoth appears, they will move on the board. So unlike Pandemic, where the diseases stay where they are unless there's an epidemic and they spread out, a Shaggoth just pops up, and every once in a while there's something that will allow him to move. If he ever reaches a gate, then you reveal a new Old One card. The Old One cards are at the very top of the board, and they will have very negative effects on the game as a whole, or ongoing effects that will make your job a lot harder. So for example, you only need, let's say, 5 of a certain color card to close that color gate if you are in that town. But there are some things where I'm like, oh, you need an extra card, oh, you need to do this, oh, you need to have someone from adjacent. It's just a lot of stuff. Now, a couple of big differences is there is no epidemic outburst of cubes whenever you have 3 on a space. If you have a 3 on a space and you have to add another one, boom, a Shaggoth appears, because the cultist summoned it up. The board also doesn't wrap around. So in Pandemic, if you're over here in Australia, you can wrap around over here to San Francisco. But in this one, you can't wrap. The gates are the only way that you can warp in between, but as you close them, you start closing off your ability to get around the map quickly, and that can be a detriment. So you'll have to take the bus or use all your actions trying to move. There's a lot, but fear not, my fellow investigators, because you will have special relic cards that you can get that will give you superpowers as we go through, and you also have access to your special abilities. So for example, someone might be able to remove all cultists on a space, someone might be able to move more than once, someone might be able to move you on their turn. Fun stuff all around. The theme for this one is very clear. Instead of being all over the world, you are in essentially Arkham, Innsmouth, and all this other stuff. And the board is very pretty, like where all the little spaces are. The cards are very cute. Not cute, that's the wrong word. The cards are nice. I really like the art that they did for the old ones. Usually the most Cthulhu games you're used to seeing kind of cartoony or super gross or whatever, but I really like the art. It was kind of a different take. I'm not really a huge fan on Cthulhu being the poster boy for everything Lovecraft, because he's not the big all end all, because if you get to him at the end, you lose the game. But he's not the biggest old god, but whatever, I'm just being a nerd right now. So Pandemic, Reign of Cthulhu. This is a very fun game. I feel like it's taken some of the stuff that I liked about Pandemic, cut out some of the stuff that I didn't, made it a smaller game with more interesting things to do, because in Pandemic, all you're really doing is moving somewhere, getting rid of cubes to try to get enough somewheres to get rid of the cubes permanently. You have a lot more to deal with here. You have to worry about making sure that those old ones don't reveal up top. You have to worry about making sure the cultists don't summon a Shoggoth, because while that might not hurt your game immediately, it will hurt it eventually, because the Shoggoth and all of the craziness going through portals, you can't just do that shit for free. Anytime you enter a space or a Shoggoth enter your space or you go through a gate, you have to roll the sanity die. This will either do nothing or it will cause you to lose one of your 4 sanity. And if you lose your sanity, you end up losing access to one of your actions, going a little crazy, and then bad stuff happens. And you can always get that sanity back. If you close the gate, you can teleport to a hospital and it'll heal you up. They implemented the theme very, very well, which I would expect nothing less from Pandemic, because Pandemic really feels like a very thematic game of clearing these out to try to find a cure, and it really, the theme shines through. And Reign of Cthulhu is no different. Let's do some housekeeping. Ages 14 and up, don't know, no why, don't care. 2 to 4 players. Now you can also play this game solo, which is what I did, and I played it the first time and I destroyed it. It was crazy stupid easy. I was also playing on the introductory game. Once I played it on normal mode, I lost the turn right before I was going to win, and I was like, ah, there's Pandemic. And I know if I play on hard mode, this game would destroy me. There's a lot of stuff working against you, but one of the things that's really good, also 40 minutes, it's very quick. One of the things that I do like that this does that original Pandemic did not do, in original Pandemic, you were allowed to talk about what you had in your hand, but you could not show what you had in your hand. On this one, all cards are on the table, literally and figuratively. All the cards in your hand, they actually recommend in the rulebook that you keep face up for everyone to see. So it really feels like more that you're working together, like, oh, I see what you have, I can include that in my decision. So I think that's going to help with the quarterbacking, because everyone can see everything and you're really working together. The insert is wonderful. The minis are wonderful. I love the sculpt for the Shoggoth and the Cultist. I love the cards. I love the dice. I love the way the game made me feel when I played it. It really felt like, wow, this is really pretty. There are more old ones than there are spots on the top. Some old ones will be included in some games and some won't in others. Now this game is a few years old. It was the first non-pandemic pandemic that came out. And I really like it. As far as co-op Cthulhu games, I have this one. I have Mountains of Madness. I have Eldritch Horror and Elder Sign. I don't want to go so far as to say nothing's going to replace Elder Sign. You saw the box that I have. I'm not getting rid of it. This, I don't want to say this will go so far as to replace Eldritch Horror, because this is not a better game than Eldritch Horror, but it is a simpler game, one that I could get to the table more, that requires a lot less time, and when it comes time to finally do one of these big-ass videos for Eldritch Horror, I'm going to have to seriously consider if I want to keep that one over this one or this one over that one. They are not even in the same ballpark as which one is better, but at the end of the day, which one am I going to get to the table more, and which one am I going to play more? Pandemic Reign of Cthulhu is in my hard 100. I finally got this on sale. My only regret is that I didn't get in on it sooner, because I could have been enjoying it all this time. It is a great game. It's great for my shelf. It'll be great for yours if you like Pandemic. If you don't know if you like Pandemic, do you like co-ops? If you like co-ops, you've probably played Pandemic. And if you like Cthulhu, the theme is very well integrated, but it's not a make or break situation. I recommend it highly. Find it on sale, find it not on sale, whatever, it's like 50 bucks. Just go buy the goddamn game. It's good. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on this, the latest edition of the Hard 100. This will not go there, but I'm gonna put it there for now. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you and yours are well. Peace out.